couple years ago, I broke into my local Chuck E. Cheese to steal pizza, but ate way too fucking much of it and passed out. However, before the cold pizza sauce knocked me out like a drunken ant at the Christmas party, I just remember looking at those god-awful nightmare horrors of mascots in the band room and just thinking, hey, I wonder if anyone's ever thought about making a horror game about those things. Then I woke up at the police station a few days later. Coming to find when I got home that a magical new game had taken the internet by storm and was making incontinent 12-year-olds develop disturbing fetishes in much the same way Star Fox and fucking Sly Cooper had done years before it. Best of all, it had the exact same premise that I half-committedly described while drunk and after overindulging on stolen cheap pizza. The game itself isn't even the real thing about Five Nights at Freddy's, really. I mean, of course I played it, and I'm gonna talk about it, but obviously, let's get to the actual fucked up parts of this thing first. Starting with the story. You are Wage Cuckerson, just your average American who loves pizza and hates being paid more than $6 per hour. Fortunately, your longest living dream to date comes true when a disgusting kid's pizzeria hires you for exactly 1 week of work, presumably after which you will be replaced by another inadequate 30-something-year-old man. But all is not well in Chuck E. Cheese's this week, because for reasons I couldn't comprehend sober, much less right now, a game of anthropomorphic animals which are either sentient animatronics or a trio of fursuiters who got called out for the content of their Facebooks at the Christmas party one too many times, are desperately trying to murder you in the most convoluted way possible. All this information, of course, is delivered to you by an infuriatingly calm coworker of yours who, I guess you replaced? But he somehow figured out how to queue his calls so they're delivered a week after he made them, because that's how phones work, I guess. For some reason, the story has collected a massive group of rabid fans who will to no end draw disgusting, wretched porn of these poorly designed furries. Is the story really the only reason behind this fanbase, though? Maybe the gameplay has the answer. It was the first legitimately scary horror game to come out in a while, and that's a massive step in the right direction, so surely that makes it a good horror game, right? Well, it's not quite that simple. So, the game itself is just, you're sitting alone in a room at night looking at security cameras to tell when the baby fur brigade are on the move again, and if they get too close to the room you're in, you rudely shut the doors on them because, you were homesick from school the day they taught manners, I guess? This would barely constitute a game if it weren't for the fact that literally every single thing you do chews through power like a pot grower with a series of exotic tropical pets. And the company only lets you use like a AA battery's worth of electricity per night, I guess because the workers' union is on vacation, and the fact that this is pure bullshit is lost on the HR guys. The whole challenge, and basically all there is to the game, is trying to conserve enough power so that you can shut the doors when you're about to get murdered by the baby fur brigade. Now, this does pretty effectively create a tense atmosphere, and it can actually scare the shit out of you when you die, but that's basically just because it's a jump scare fest. I mean, take a conventionally good horror game, like Amnesia. In Amnesia, you're in a constant state of fear of the evil bumblefucks before you've even ever seen them. You don't know what'll happen if they catch you, you don't know where they are, or even particularly the layout of the castle you're in, and assuming it's your first time playing them, you don't even know what the monsters look like. All you do know is if you see one, you're going to turn tail and run to the nearest infantile hiding space, so you can shit your diaper for a few minutes until the unspeakable horrors decide to fuck off. Now, going back to FNAF, you know exactly where the monsters are, exactly the layout of the poorly arranged children's pizzeria you're in, and exactly what the monsters look like, and while this may seem like a point in favor of FNAF's ability to scare, that's only until you realize that you also know exactly what happens when you get caught, and that you can't do anything to prevent your fate once they enter the room. Basically, the fear present in FNAF is reminiscent of a visit to the dentist as a child. You know what's coming, you know it's going to be incredibly unpleasant, and you know there's more or less nothing you can do to prevent your fate, since everyone who plays FNAF most definitely will get jump-started at least once, and more importantly, once it's started, nothing can stop it. Now, again, compared to Amnesia, and I know, pop Amnesia's dick out of my mouth before I start to get a yeast infection, but it's really more similar to a lonesome walk down a dark corridor of an abandoned, decrepit building, and you keep hearing footsteps and whispering voices around every corner, and you forgot your pocket knife, pepper spray, and filthy glass bottles at home, so all you can hope to do if someone sees you is try to escape them by running away. See, Five Nights at Freddy's does create an urgent sense of fear, but really only because it offers an unambiguous punishment for failure, a failure which is hard as shit to avoid. If all I wanted out of a horror game was to feel anxious about an unavoidable, unpleasant encounter, I'd try to come out to my dad again. I definitely don't want to be too dismissive of it. It has a few points in its favor over some of the predictable horror games out there, but that's sort of what makes it so frustrating. If the game had more content, or if it were even a little deeper than a game you'd find programmed onto a DreamWorks DVD or some shit, I'd probably be more inclined to like it, even with all its flaws. But when a game has no meat to it, all the flaws really stand out in a way that not even the shittiest of fans could distract from. Really, Five Nights at Freddy's isn't the worst game I've ever played. You could do a lot worse, but mostly I'm just a little confused by it. Why would someone even bother making a game out of this concept? The whole thing could be stimulated almost exactly by searching worst screamer ever on YouTube and pausing the video every 5 seconds until the actual scream happens. And maybe eat some pizzas while you watch it if you want to go for the high score using wicked style points. Also, before I go, let me just say that despite my cheap shots towards the fanbase, bear in mind that every creative work, good or bad, is going to have both its rabid, annoying 12-year-old fans as well as its more sensible, laid-back fans, so don't take a few jabs from an alcoholic undead bozo too seriously, okay? Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go check the mail. I'm expecting a huge shipment of rat poison to arrive soon, and you just know Anthrocon will be here before you know it.
Time for the main attraction. The story must be told. Time for a chain reaction. It never gets old. Some bots get satisfaction breaking the mold. Some bots are just distractions. Some bots are just gold. I'm not the bad guy. I'm just a bit surprising. It's not worth losing sleep. It's not worth analyzing. There was a time